In this video, we will be sharing tips on how to improve your Amazon product listing to increase your conversions. Our guest today is a professional copywriter, Emma Schermer-Tamir, who will be covering some common mistakes Amazon sellers make when it comes to creating an Amazon product listing and how to fix them. If you need help with crafting a well-performing product listing, check out Emma's website. You will find the link below in the description. This video is hosted together with LISETT, who works with different Amazon brands. And finally, if you like this video, make sure you click the like button below and subscribe to our channel. Hello, Emma. It's so nice to have you here. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Emma Schermer-Tamir, and I'm the co-founder of Marketing by Emma. And we are an e-commerce copywriting firm. We help online businesses connect with their dream customers and maximize their conversion rates.
And I also recently saw that you call yourself Amazon, right?
Yeah, so we work a lot with Amazon sellers. And so for our Amazon listing optimization services, we call those Amazon.
Amazon. All right. And what you will be sharing with us today, can you give us a summary?
I'm talking about tips that you can do to instantly boost your Amazon listing conversion rates. Looking at common mistakes that sellers make and how to fix those so that you can make the transaction much more seamless and not only increase your add to carts, but increase your purchases.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's jump to the slides.
Okay, so things that you can do to instantly boost your Amazon listing conversion rates. As I mentioned just a moment ago, my name is Emma Schermer-Tamir. That's my husband and co-founder, Erez. We started Marketing by Emma back in 2016, and we can help with everything from Amazon listing optimization to website copy and all of that good stuff. So first and foremost, this may seem like an obvious question to answer, but I think it's something that a lot of people overlook. And in overlooking it, you are really throwing sales away. So does listing quality matter? This is an extreme case to demonstrate that listing quality absolutely can matter. You see here that the main image is of the bottom of the shoe. The title tells us nothing about what this shoe is. And the only thing that the bullets are telling us is that the heel measures approximately 0.5 inches. You can tell once you look at the other images that this is a sandal of some sort and that it's for women and it's made of leather. So we're able to cobble together, I guess pun intended, some different details about this product, but we're having to really be investigators here. And customers are wanting to make quick and easy decisions. And your listing, when set up in a way to help make that decision as seamless as possible, can really help take you to another level with your Amazon business. So great listings boost conversion rates, but they can also help with a variety of other things that people don't immediately think about when they're thinking about listing optimization. So helping you index better and rank better, helping to drive more traffic, both organically as well as make your PPC efforts easier and even spending less for every sale. If you're able to build up some really good sales velocity independently, getting the right buyers. So I think that sometimes when you're thinking about wanting to make a sale, it's this idea of make a sale at whatever it takes. However, you don't really want to be selling to people that aren't your true customers, because if they're just going to turn around and send it back or write a negative review, then all that's doing for you is creating extra hassle and a potential negative reputation that will then take a lot of time and effort to resolve. It can also be a way to cross-promote other products if you have a larger product catalog, and then building relationships and brand loyalty. So you start to invest in those relationships with your customers so that perhaps they are going to search for you specifically the next time they need to buy this particular product, or they want to know the other things you're selling, or whatever the case may be. So get organized to get orders. That may sound a little bit boring, but we have to understand that every single customer has certain buying criteria, and before they're going to waste time looking at your photos or your beautifully designed A+ content or any of that, they want to know that your product matches their needs. And so you should make it as easy as possible for customers to look at your listing and say, yes, it checks this box, it checks this box, it checks this box. In this case, we're looking at Frontline is a very well-known brand, at least here in the US, for flea and tick prevention for animals. And if you're looking at the bullets here, at least from my experience, I look at these and my eyes go cross-eyed. I don't really know what to look at. I don't know what any of these bullets are talking about. I really just feel like I'm seeing fleas and ticks all over, and that's it. And there are a few reasons for this. One is they're not doing anything to help differentiate one bullet from the next. So even just using some all capitalized headers at the beginning of each bullet would help to really focus the customer's attention and say, the first bullet is about this, the second bullet is about this. And so then if I know that the ingredients are the most important thing to me, I know exactly which bullet to go to find that information. But when it's organized this way, it's a big jumble and it's very difficult to find. It's also just too many characters. We aim for keeping bullets at around 200 characters each. And what that does is it makes you really have to think about every single word that is on the page. And while that may feel restrictive, it makes it so that your text is very compact, very impactful, very powerful, and it's much easier for customers to navigate. So keeping your bullets shorter and then using those all caps headers are two great ways to organize your listing. And lastly, thinking about what are the 5 most important things that customers absolutely need to know about a product, and making each bullet focused exclusively on that detail. So you don't start off and have the first part of a bullet about one thing and the second part of a bullet about something else. You have other places to further explain your product. You have your images and your description. And so you have a lot of room to work with. So don't feel like you need to put everything into the bullets. And then similarly for the description, if you're just having a standard description, you are allowed to use some basic HTML tags to be able to break up that text into much more manageable chunks. I'd be happy to provide those specific tags to Augustus after this, and perhaps he can include it somewhere for people to be able to see.
Emma, one question I wanted to ask about the bullet point. You said that you suggest 200 characters. To get an understanding, how many characters are these bullet points, just to see how smaller?
That's a good question. I have not counted them. I would say that some of these, the first couple of ones look like they might be closer to the 200, 250 character range, maybe even the first 3. But the fourth bullet for sure starts to get into 300, maybe even 400 character range. Okay. So it's just a lot, but I would need to put them into a character counter. I don't have a finely tuned ability to look at it and say, yes, for sure. And some of that's also that when you're not using the all caps headers, it all bleeds together. And so it just makes it confusing to even know where one bullet starts and the next bullet ends.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Just wanted to get impression that this particular listing could have like 70% of what is written, right? Like maybe.
Oh yeah, I mean this is total keyword stuffing. If you look at it, kills fleas and ticks. Frontline flea and tick treatment for dogs kills fleas, flea eggs, lice, and ticks. This flea and tick treatment kills ticks, including those that may transmit Lyme disease. So that was the third bullet. It repeated the same thing at least three times, maybe 4. And so you could have said all of that in one sentence with half of the characters there. And that's really true for all of this. And I think there's this misperception that you need to use every single keyword in your bullets in your title. And you also have your back end to work with. You do have your description, which has some ability to index as well. So this isn't the only place to integrate your keywords. But furthermore, you could have a million keywords. I mean, you couldn't actually have a million, but you could have a bunch of keywords in your listing. If it's not set up to actually communicate the important information to your customers and make that conversion, then it's a lot of wasted effort, because I can't say that I would feel confident buying this product. I would actually wonder whether this is truly frontline, or if perhaps it's some knockoff frontline and that I'm putting random unknown chemicals not only on my dog, but on exposing the rest of my family who may be petting my dog to it. So that's something else that you really want to be thinking about, is because there have been a lot of stories over the years of counterfeit goods and products that aren't meeting correct safety standards. A lot of customers are bringing that knowledge into their shopping, and they want to make sure that the sellers that they're purchasing from are reliable and trustworthy and are in fact what they say they are. So making it easy to choose you. We already spoke about some of these things, but as a quick recap, identify the key buying criteria. So really figure out whatever product you're selling, what are those things that a customer would want to know? Maybe it's ingredients, maybe it's dimensions, maybe it's compatibility. So thinking about those details and making it very simple for a customer to find exactly where that information is within your listing. Also setting it up for maximum skimmability. So a lot of people won't necessarily invest a lot of time to read everything from top to bottom, but they will read about certain things that are particularly interesting to them. So you want to make it so that customers can, at a glance, get those important details. And some of that is how you organize it. And some of it is also just really being thoughtful about every single word that's on the page. So if it's not either helping for SEO purposes or helping to push the sale forward, then it shouldn't be there. Using all caps headers and one clear focused idea per bullet is a great way to do that. HTML tags in the description, and then being really thoughtful about the keyword you pick and understanding that those keywords that are going into the listing itself are going to be customer facing. So you want to make sure that those keywords are going to make sense within a sentence, and they could be a fantastic keyword, but if it's going to create a very awkward sentence, then it may be a better word to use in the back end of your listing. So we spoke about it just a moment ago with the frontline and questioning whether it's even really frontline. Building trust is so important with really any relationship. And online, there is not that same instant trust that you may have if you have an opportunity to speak to somebody face to face. So your listing is your salesperson, and your listing is really the thing that's representing not just your product, but your business. And you want to make sure that it is making the very best impression possible so that customers feel comfortable purchasing from you, that you seem reliable, and of course, like a trustworthy company to do business with. So here is an example of a wireless Wi-Fi camera. First of all, their main image is definitely not compliant with the Amazon's terms of service. But aside from that, their bullets are just all over the place, really awkward language, lots of grammatical errors, and just it's not well written. And this is a product that it's going to be recording people in my home. So, we all hear stories about your laptop cameras that can be hacked into and whatnot. So a product like this, I would not only want to make sure that it works. So if I'm using it to keep an eye on the babysitter, I know that it's reliable, but also that whoever is selling it is a trustworthy business that is going to not interfere with the recordings that are going on in my house and potentially get footage that is happening in my personal space. So thinking about how can you use language and your images to put the best foot forward to show that attention to detail. And there are tools like Grammarly, there are tools in any word processor that you can use for the most basic grammatical and spelling errors, and then having some other people read over the listing. Even if you're a great writer, mistakes happen. And so getting a few sets of eyes on something helps to make sure that you're not putting up a listing that is just riddled with errors and likely breaking some potential trust with customers that would feel more comfortable purchasing from another company. Here's their A+ content. It's pretty lacking. There's very little I don't really know what they're trying to demonstrate with some of these things. I suppose the first picture is showing that it's a very tiny camera. The second picture is showing how well it blends in, I suppose. The third is, I guess, watching their child in another room or from somewhere else. But you see, I'm having to make a lot of effort to try to interpret what these photos are demonstrating. And then all that they have in as far as text goes is a little bit at the bottom that's saying what comes with it, but really not even telling me what these things are. So I don't know what a Hanbu card reader is, for example. I also don't know what a reset needle is. I would assume maybe that's something you put into it to reset it, but I don't know because they're not telling me. So they're leaving a lot of room for interpretation, and all that this is doing is making me feel confused and like this. I have no idea whether this product meets my needs, and it certainly doesn't seem to be the most reputable company in the world. So I would be much more likely to take my business elsewhere. So start off on the right foot, make sure you have impeccable grammar and spelling, avoid exaggerated claims. That's one of the most common mistakes that I see people that don't have a lot of experience writing in a marketing sense make, is using this really over-the-top language, saying that everything is the best and the most innovative. And while that can sound exciting, you also want to make sure that if you're saying those things, that you can truly stand behind your statements, because otherwise all you're doing is building up a lot of hype for your product and getting people very excited. And then you may not even be able to fulfill those claims. And once again, as we were speaking about earlier, that may lead to more returns, negative reviews, neither of which are going to be helpful for your long-term goals. Thinking about who shouldn't buy your product is also an incredibly powerful practice to do, and something that not enough people do. And that can be everything from, if there are, let's say you sell something that is consumed, and there are some diets that it would be not safe for them to consume it. Maybe it has gluten or dairy or an animal byproduct. Making that very clear and upfront is going to help those people that have those specific dietary needs have a lot of faith in you as a company, because they understand that you're keeping their best interests in mind. And perhaps they'll even want to see if you have a product that is something that's suitable for their diet. So thinking in those ways and helping to avoid those sales that aren't a right fit can not only avoid those returns, but also help to build more trust with your customers, both the ones that are not going to buy right now and the ones that are buying with more confidence that if they should know something, they know that you're telling it to them on the front end. And then being aware of those trendy marketing tactics. So that can be everything from utilizing the when you buy from us, 10% goes to charity, and being really vague about what that charity is, and really most likely you're not donating to any charity. So that's an example. Using Emojis all over the place is not something that I'm a particular fan of. I think unless it's the exact right product, it can really cheapen how you're appearing, and both as a product and as a brand. So thinking about what is just trendy right now versus whether this is something that's truly going to appeal to my core customers. Next, make your pictures push the sale. So we have an image here, and probably everybody that looks at this photo is going to start thinking about something different. So maybe I look at this picture and I remember a family trip that I took to Montana 15 years ago, but maybe somebody else sees this and says, oh no, snow, winter, I need to get as far away from this as I possibly can. And so we all have all the time a million different things that are going through our minds. And so a photo without any text is sort of up for interpretation in many different ways. And so what you can do to make sure that you're really controlling the message, but also that you are communicating those things that you absolutely want customers to know, you can utilize a little bit of text, and that will allow it so that every single person that looks at this photo will know exactly what it is that you are trying to demonstrate. So if I told you that there's actually a person in the middle holding a water bottle and that this is an advertisement for a water bottle, then it completely shifts things somewhat already. But then if I were to add a little bit of text that referenced this water bottle, then it would allow all of us to be on the same page and have the same interpretation of this picture rather than going off into our own different worlds. So use words to supercharge your photos, and not only supercharge your photos, but thinking about the different types of buying habits that customers have. And some people will look at your listing very thoroughly, and some are just going to take a quick glance to make sure that it meets their buying criteria. They'll swipe through your photos, read a few reviews, and call it a day. And so regardless of what their buying habits are, by utilizing your photos to the best of their ability, you are able to make sure that even those very casual shoppers are getting the key pieces of information that they need in order to make an informed decision. Thinking about how you can use minimum words for maximum impact. So when I talk about adding text to your images, I'm not saying to put a big chunky paragraph or to have a bunch of different circles with lots of different text in each one. If people have to zoom in to clearly read or understand what's going on, then it's probably too much. Also thinking about how you can evoke emotion. Now, that's not going to be the case for all images. Some images may be really great tools to demonstrate certain features or functions of your product, but especially with your lifestyle images, those are a really great opportunity to connect with people's emotions and to help them imagine what their lives will be like with your product in it. So emphasizing the benefits, not just the features, helping to make that connection between why a feature is going to be so valuable to customers and to help either solve a particular problem or improve their life in some way. Clarifying points of confusion. So you can sometimes look at an image and you really have no idea what it's trying to demonstrate. That little hidden camera was an example where there were a few photos there and it wasn't instantly clear what they were trying to show. With a little bit of text in some of those images, it would have been much easier for everybody to be on the same page with the snap of a finger, and it wouldn't be you sitting here trying to interpret what the seller is trying to demonstrate. And then, of course, as we already spoke about, controlling the message. So thinking about how you can make it so that no matter who looks at it, no matter what's going on in their mind, they're getting the message that you want them to get. So in the case of this example on the right, we have a KitchenAid mixer, which is a pretty expensive kitchen appliance that's also quite popular. We see it has 2,700 ratings. But what I find peculiar here is they have this image of this spiralizer attachment in the lower right-hand corner, which is a tool that you can use to turn vegetables into noodle-like shapes. So for people that are on a low carb diet that helps to satisfy their carb cravings, I suppose. But what's confusing here is it's not clear whether this attachment actually comes with the product or if it's maybe advertising something else that you can buy as an add-on. If they had a little bit of text here, they would really help to clarify that point of confusion, but they would also perhaps even be able to upsell another product, not just this spiralizer, but KitchenAid has many different attachments. And if somebody is already agreeing to invest in roughly $400 for a kitchen appliance, then paying $50 or $75 or even $100 for some add-ons seems pretty reasonable. So this could be a great way for them to even display some of the other accessories that you can purchase so that you'll maybe minimize the guilt of the cupcakes and the pies that you're really buying the KitchenAid for. So here's that picture again. We have a little bit of text on here, and suddenly we're all on the same page. We're thinking about that water bottle. We're thinking about that trip that we want to take or that time we want to spend outside with family and it's allowing all of us to make sure that we're getting the same exact message. Be bold. What do I mean by that? Let's compare two products side by side. On the left, we have Melitta Coffee. Melitta is a coffee company that's been around for over 100 years. You can find them in many supermarkets, and they're a pretty successful business. On the right, we have Black Rifle Coffee Company. They're an e-commerce coffee business, and they are killing it on Amazon and just online in general. And if we look at them side by side, Melitta looks like they're doing a pretty good job just on first inspection. You know, they have much tighter bullets. They have those all caps headers that we've spoken about. So those are good things that they're doing right. But when you look a little bit closer, it's all very bland. It's all very corporate feeling, and it's really not telling you much of anything. So it could just as easily be a listing for Folgers or any other big coffee company. It's very much focused on them and what they're doing. There's no interest paid to the customer, and their pricing is on the lower side when it comes to 13 ounces of coffee. This is also a high caffeine coffee. Both of these coffees are. And so I would expect that if I'm looking at an advertisement for a high caffeine coffee, that it's going to have a little bit of energy in it. And this listing does not really bring much extra energy at all. Now, on the right-hand side with Black Rifle Coffee Company, they're selling their product for more than double what Melitta is selling it for. And it's not because their costs of raw materials is so much higher necessarily. It could very well be in large part to the fact that they've really tapped into their branding and their core customer base. And so they are able to demand higher prices, and people are happy to pay that because they're excited about what this business is doing. And when I say be bold, if you look a little bit closer, you may notice that they are a veteran-owned business. And they're speaking very proudly about the fact that they support the military and law enforcement. And some people will look at that and they will feel very excited and they will say, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I really love supporting veteran-owned businesses, and this is the coffee company for me. I can't wait to drink this. And then there are going to be other people that see this and they say, this is not something I'm comfortable with. I don't support the military. I have a lot of mixed feelings about law enforcement. And so it's not just making this bland thing like Melitta's done that may be agreeable to everybody. They are making a clear dividing line between who their core customers are and who they aren't. And in doing so, they've managed to achieve a lot of success. So if we look at Melitta's A+ content, again, I mean, I see this and I think every other coffee company, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It is so boring. It looks nice, but it's really not helping to make the sale. Most likely when they're making the sale, it's because they're the cheapest high caffeine ground coffee around, and does not have anything to do with this particular brand. And it's not likely that people are going to be seeking out Melita buzzworthy coffee. They're just looking for high caffeine at a low price. Black Rifle Coffee Company is totally different. Most of their A+ content has nothing at all to do with their coffee itself. There's only one module that's talking about this particular coffee. The rest of it is all about helping to further this idea of being a veteran-owned business and what they're really trying to do as a brand. So they have a photo of the team, a letter from the founder, their mission statement. You see in all of these images, everybody's also wearing their merchandise. So they're really working to create this whole identity around Black Rifle Coffee Company. And in doing so, they are getting people even more excited about this coffee, and maybe even wanting to look and see the other blends of coffee that they sell. Or they're also so excited that they want to get some of their own hats and t-shirts and all of that stuff and tell their friends and family and make sure that their household is a household that only drinks Black Rifle Coffee Company. It can be very tempting to look at the most successful sellers in your space and just say, okay, they're successful. I'm just going to copy exactly what they're doing. I'm going to take their listing. I'm just going to tweak the wording so it doesn't look like I copy pasted things and be done with it. And that is going to really limit your ability to achieve the sort of success that you're after. First of all, as a customer, think about you're going on to Amazon, you type something into the search bar and you look at the search results and you have a million products that all look exactly the same. It's a frustrating place to be in as a customer, and you're forced to make a decision either based on price or on reviews because you're just really not given that much else to work with. The titles are almost all the same. The listings look so similar. And so if you can actually figure out a way to differentiate yourself, then you make it much easier for customers to make that decision because they're not just looking at these listings that are all identical. They're saying, oh, this is something different. Now I have something to compare and contrast about. And if your something different is something that they really relate to or get excited about, then that creates a real opportunity. Whereas before, it's going to be very hard to outsell somebody that is already killing it. So thinking about what makes you special, who you are as a brand, those are really important questions to be pondering at any stage of your business. Also, make it clear from the get-go exactly who you are. So like Black Rifle Coffee Company, everything from their packaging to how they name their products to the ways that they write about things is all coming from a very clear perspective. And what's interesting, if we go back here, I said don't have long bullets. Black Rifle has really long bullets, and they're also using emojis. So they're able to get away with some things that are not necessarily best practices because they have done such a great job on this branding piece. So it's just something to consider. So fight choice paralysis, as I was talking about, that really frustrating position to be in as a customer when you don't even know how to decide on something or what to compare against. So help make that easier for customers. And then building a brand, not just a business. So rather than creating a catalog of a bunch of products that don't relate to each other, by figuring out this branding piece, not only will it make it easier for you to make decisions about other products to launch in the future, but then if you're looking to diversify your business, selling on your own website, on other channels, you're making it that much easier for yourself, having done this homework and thought about it. Benefits, benefits, benefits. So we have two listings here. On the left, we have Intex. They are another large company similar to Melita. You can find them in Walmart and a lot of large stores. And on the right, we have Splash Easy. They're a relatively unknown company, but they have been totally killing it with this product. When I took this screenshot, Intex was number 35 in toys and games, and Splash Easy was number 4. Splash Easy is actually a product that we helped launch last year, and they did phenomenally the whole warm season last summer, and have been doing the same this year as well. At the core, they're the same product. They may not look identical, but they are both inflatable pool type of toys to provide parents with a way to help their young children cool off and be outside. But you'll see that they are taking a very different approach. So Intex is really taking the strategy of no strategy. Their bullets are vague, leave a lot to be desired, and provide very minimal information about the product whatsoever. Splash Easy, on the other hand, they have essentially, mostly through marketing and a little bit through product design, have created a whole new product category for themselves with this product. So they've added some simple imagery onto the product, and suddenly they've transformed an inflatable pool into something that is also an educational tool that will help in childhood development. So they are appealing to a very specific demographic of parents, and not just saying, oh, this is a way to cool off, but even when you're playing outside with your children, help make that a learning opportunity as well. And so a lot of the focus is speaking to those types of benefits that parents and children can enjoy when playing with this pool. Here is Intex's A+ content. Again, very vague. I think it even contradicts itself. Here it says the water capacity is 18 gallons, and in the bullets it says 22 gallons. So I really don't know what to believe, what's what. Just something to think about, and try not to make mistakes like that yourself. Here is Splash Easy's A+ content. You see they're using lots of lifestyle images, so they're helping to get people excited about interacting with this product and imagining themselves and their children playing with this toy and having nice time. And you see empower your little ones, early learning, and talking about the different things that a product like this can help to inspire that nobody else was really doing. Of course, now they have a lot of copycats, but they've really done a phenomenal job in making a little adjustment and creating a whole new product category for themselves. So leading with benefits. Finding the benefit can be a little bit tricky. And a lot of times when you think you've found the benefit, you're not quite there yet. So anytime that you want to write about a particular feature or element of your product, ask yourself why this matters. So if you want to write about the materials or some unique design upgrade that you've made, ask, why does this matter? And then figure out what the answer is to that, and then keep asking why until you have really honed in on that emotional driver behind somebody wanting a product like that. So with Splash Easy, some of those benefits, like it talks a lot about safety. So there's some fear there of wanting to make sure that their children stay safe. It's not simply positive, and it's not just because they are protective of their children, but there's a fear of bad things happening. And so being able to address that in a way that's going to be reassuring to customers is really important. And speaking to that is helping to create a much different experience than something like Intex, which is just telling us that children between the ages of 1 and 3 need supervision. So understanding your customers, getting a clear sense of who they are and what they care about, and speaking directly to their concerns. And then it's not to say that features don't matter, but using your features to support your claims. So making a statement about the benefits of your product, and then finding out how you can use your features in a way to justify what it is that you're saying. And then once you've done all of that, you want to just keep doing all of that. So the moment you recognize that not everyone could or should buy your product or services, you will sell to more of those who can and should buy. Zig Ziglar is one of the most prolific and respected salespeople that has ever lived. And he is so right with this quote, among many other fantastic quotes that he's made throughout his days when he was around. And I think that this is something that everybody should take some time to really ponder, because I think the immediate response that everybody always has is, I want to sell to as many people as possible, and everybody is my customer. And of course, we all want to make as many sales as we can, but if you're trying to sell to everybody, you're really going to have a very difficult time gaining the traction that you need to find success. And so if you can really boil it down and think about who your core customers are and excite them, then that will help to give you the traction. And then you can begin to eventually grow and expand your customer base, but always keeping your core customers in mind. So if you're a little bit confused about how to do all of this and really figure out who you should be selling to and how you can differentiate yourself, I've put together a free worksheet that you can use that's full of a lot of questions that should really serve as a jumping off point to get curious and to figure out what you can do to set your brand apart, to build that loyal customer base. And if you go to marketingbyemma.com/orange, we have a free worksheet. It has tons of questions asking you about your competitors, about your customers, about your brand. And this is really important work to do at any stage of your business. And the more that you can spend time getting curious and being thoughtful about these different points, the more you'll be able to figure out how to set yourself apart and how to really establish that competitive edge that is so important when you are selling on a very crowded marketplace, like pretty much any marketplace that exists right now. So if you'd like help with any of this, if you'd like to reach out, if you have questions, please feel free to contact. Here are all of my contact details. We also offer free listing analysis. So if you're not sure whether your listing is doing what it says, or maybe you watched this and you made all of the corrections and you want a second opinion, please feel free to go to our website, marketingbyemma.com, and fill out the free analysis form. And we would be happy to provide some free feedback about things that you should do to improve your listing, or maybe it looks great and then we'll just give you the seal of approval. And if not, we would also be very happy to help you with your listing optimization or any of your other marketing writing needs.
Thank you very much, Emma, for so many interesting tips. And I like that you showed practical examples. I like this coffee comparison. And what I noticed that the big company, they had about them in the bullet points. The smaller company had about them in the A+ content. I think all this is connecting to the story, right? Like you didn't mention the word story, I think, but I have a feeling that small company, they just build a story around their company and the product, right?
Yes, 100%. And you're right. I didn't mention story, but it is something that is really important. And I think it trips a lot of people up because you may be getting into or have gotten into Amazon and not necessarily have this really exciting story like something like Black Rifle Coffee. And so it can feel a little bit intimidating or make you think that maybe you even need to make up a story if you're going to be successful. And that's not the case at all. Your story doesn't have to be just what already happened. Your story can also be the world that you're trying to create or the world that you want to live in. And so thinking about how you can weave in elements of story and using it in a way that is authentic and truthful and not just trying to sell rags to riches kind of story. Or, I think so many sellers will fall into this trap of, okay, I don't have a story, so I'm going to say, we were struggling to find the perfect blah, blah, blah. And so we couldn't find it. So we made the perfect blah, blah, blah. And I've seen that same story a million times. And if that's truly your story, then you probably have some interesting points that are more than just not the perfect. Maybe if it's coffee, maybe you had a bad reaction to most coffees because they had too much acid, but you couldn't find a low acidity coffee anywhere that agreed with your stomach, and you also weren't willing to give up coffee. So it's following that same storyline, but you see that by incorporating those details, you're able to tell that it is a story with truth and heart to it versus a story that's being used as a marketing tactic to probably not that much success.
Stories really sell whether you use stories in the photos or whether you use them in a copy. But do you have any good resources for sellers who are actually interested in writing the copy themselves, but whether perhaps they are not professionals themselves, what they could use in order to get better in writing copy?
So there are a lot of things. First and foremost, I think because it's something that we all do, even if we're not good at it, there's this assumption that it's not something that needs to be practiced, but really good writing is just like a musical instrument or painting or any other type of practice like that, or craft rather, where you have to practice. So you can't expect, even the very best copywriters, if you looked at their earlier work, it was nowhere near as good as where it was after they'd really been working and refining their craft. So practice a lot, try different things, figure out what works. Another really great resource that you can use is a lot of times you're selling to somebody that you don't necessarily relate to directly. And so looking for how people in that space are engaging and talking and the kind of language they use can be really helpful. And I almost think of it as playing a role like an actor. So how can you get into character and really channel this persona and then utilize those things that you're seeing in a way that's helpful? So if you're selling to, people that are really into beauty, go on YouTube, look at a bunch of different beauty YouTubers, see how they talk about eyeshadow and all of the different adjectives they use and what makes them really love an eyeshadow and what makes them really hate an eyeshadow, and look at the comments and look at Instagram and even go onto different forums or other marketplaces like Sephora and collect as much information as you can, and you'll start to get a sense of what the vocabulary is around that product so that you're using the right words that make sense. Because that's one of the biggest things, is not knowing what the appropriate language is for a product or thinking about how marketing writing should sound. And so trying to copy this I call it the late night infomercial, really over the top. It's the best and most, I don't know if you have those in Europe, but in the States, there are a lot of them. And people see through it. People understand that you're just trying to make a sale. And so paying attention to, is this just sort of cliched marketing? Is this something that worked 20 years ago? Or is this really important and valuable and worth saying?
Okay, I totally agree with everything you say and you bring out. And it seems like it takes a ton of time to craft a listing. So how much time sellers should consider to write the really good listing copy?
Well, some of that will depend on if you're just creating a standard listing or if you're also creating A+ content and if you're wanting to create infographics. So obviously the more you add, the longer it will take, but it should take a while because you should be doing all of your preliminary research. And a lot of sellers will only do their competitor research on Amazon, and your competitor research should expand beyond Amazon as well. Look and see, type into Google and see what the top sites are, and look at those websites and be really collecting as much information as possible. So you're doing your competitor research, you're researching your customers. So that alone is a few hours of work, and you haven't even dug into the keyword research yet. So then you have that you need to be doing. And then the writing itself, which if you're not a well-practiced writer who can really sit down and focus and has more of those tools at the front of their mind, it would probably take you some time. I would say just the writing itself, once you have all of that information, could easily take you 5 to 10 hours if you're just starting out. Because there's also, when you're writing for Amazon, there are so many other things that you need to be considering. So, there is a whole list of words that you're not supposed to use on Amazon, depending upon the category you're selling in and various things. And so you need to be mindful of those. You need to be aware of your character counts. You need to be thinking about how you can integrate keywords into your listing. And so there's all of these things that you're having to manage simultaneously. And doing that when you don't have a lot of experience, you want to be very thoughtful and you want to be investing the time and effort. And that, I might be saying this and you're hearing, whoa, that's a lot of time. But if you think about it, this is your salesperson. This is the thing that's representing you 24 hours a day. So why not really invest the time and effort into making sure that you're having a really slick looking listing that's going to impress people versus a listing that's the equivalent of a salesperson that just rolled out of bed and smells like the bar and, has really scruffy facial hair, and it would make most people want to turn the other direction.
Yeah, thank you very much, Emma. I really liked I think one of your messages was that you have to niche down with your copy and with your message. I liked, again, this coffee example where they are targeting people who like to support veterans.
Yeah, and it's not something you would think about with coffee. I think most people are so narrow when they're thinking about their customers and the product they're selling. And by just expanding the range a little bit, you actually see that there's so much uncharted territory. So that even if you're selling a product that there are plenty of others, if you can find some sort of differentiating element, even if it's just at the core of your business and has nothing to do with the product itself, then you completely change the game.
All right. Thank you very much one more time. And can you repeat your website and contact data one more time and how can you help them?
Yes, happily. So thank you so much for having me first and foremost. My name is Emma Schermer-Tamir. We're at marketingbyemma.com. And whether you want help with your Amazon listings or you're ready to create a really great website or a brand story, we would absolutely love to help with that.
Perfect. Good luck in your business and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And once again, if you need help with your Amazon listing copy, check out Emma's website below this video. She will be happy to help you. And now I recommend you to watch other video where Chris Rawlings lays out the formula for creating an Amazon FBA listing using subconscious programming techniques. I think it's interesting. Check this out.